Do you ever catch yourself doing something and thinking, why on earth did I just do that? Or maybe you have felt like you are being pushed to act in a way that doesn't quite feel you. Spoiler alert, it is not a fluke. There are sneaky psychological tricks at play that are messing with your head without you even realizing it. Dark psychology traps are everywhere, sneaking into your daily life, quietly pulling the strings on your decisions, your feelings, and even your relationships. In this video, we will share the top dark psychology traps, how they work, how they mess with your head, and best of all, how you can spot them before they make you do something crazy, like volunteer to help someone move. The first trap is the IKEA effect. You know that feeling when you spend hours building a piece of IKEA furniture, and suddenly you think it is some kind of masterpiece, even though it is still just a wobbly bookshelf. That is the IKEA effect. In dark psychology, this gets used against you by getting you to pour your time, energy, or emotions into something. The more effort you put in, the harder it is to walk away, even when you really should. This happens in relationships, projects, or even bad ideas. Imagine someone manipulative getting you to invest in a relationship. The person knows that the more effort you put in, the harder it will be for you to leave, even if they turn into a human dumpster fire. The trap is in your own brain. You overvalue what you have worked for and find it impossible to let go, even when it is no longer good for you. Secondly, the curse of specificity. Suppose you are in a debate and the other person starts bombarding you with a flood of pointless details, tiny facts that don't really matter but somehow make their argument seem rock solid. That is the curse of specificity. Manipulators use this trick to overwhelm you with useless information and make it harder for you to see the bigger picture. They know that by drowning you in irrelevant specifics, you will start to believe they must be right, or at least more knowledgeable. You get lost in the weeds, too distracted to realize they are just spinning nonsense. This happens in negotiations, arguments, and even ads, where extra details make something sound way better than it is. Before you know it, you're nodding along and agreeing to things you didn't even want, just because your brain can't process that much useless info at once. It is like trying to win an argument with an encyclopedia. Sure, there are a lot of facts, but none of them matter. Moving on to the next trap, the spotlight effect. Have you ever felt like every single person is watching you when you mess up? Like you trip over nothing and suddenly think, oh great, everyone saw that. That is the spotlight effect. Manipulators use this to make you feel like every little mistake or flaw is under a magnifying glass. They will drop hints or point out your flaws and make you think everyone is judging you. In reality, no one cares. Sorry, not sorry. But the more you think they do, the more anxious and self-conscious you become. You second-guess yourself, lose confidence, and suddenly you are dancing to their tune. The truth is, people are too busy worrying about their own screw-ups to notice yours, but the manipulator wants you trapped in a spiral of self-doubt so that it becomes easier for them to control you. Because nothing says manipulation like making someone think they are starring in their own personal reality show of cringe. Fourth up is the halo effect. You know when you meet someone who is super kind and suddenly you are convinced they are also smart, hardworking, and can probably solve world hunger in their free time? That is the halo effect messing with your brain. It is a psychological trap where one good trait, like being charming or attractive, tricks you into thinking they have got a whole bag of other good qualities too. In dark psychology, this is gold. A manipulative person will come off as generous or super likable, which leads you to assume they are a saint in every area. Meanwhile, they could be hiding a laundry list of bad traits, but you don't see it because your brain is busy connecting dots that aren't there. Con artists and people in power love this trick. Charm you with one trait, and you will trust them without a second thought. It is like assuming a shiny apple isn't rotten inside because, hey, it looks nice. Another dark psychology trap is self-serving bias. This happens when your brain is saying, I am awesome when things go right, and everyone else sucks when things go wrong. In dark psychology, people use this to manipulate you by stroking your ego when you succeed and shifting blame when you fail. Let's say you nail a project at work. Your manipulative boss will be the first to say, wow, you are a genius. But when it crashes and burns, they will casually suggest, well, the market conditions were impossible, or the team dropped the ball. They are basically feeding into your need to feel blameless and making you trust them because they are boosting your ego while dodging responsibility. It works because, let's be honest, who doesn't love being told they are perfect? The next one is the decoy effect. Here is how the decoy effect works. You are choosing between two options, one expensive and fancy and one cheap but basic. Then they hit you with a third option that is almost as pricey as the fancy one, but way crappier. Suddenly, that expensive option looks like the best deal of the century. That is the decoy at play. People use this to push you into picking something you never would have gone for. You think you are being logical, but really, your choice is being steered by that decoy option no one in their right mind would ever pick. It is like when you are at a restaurant restaurant and see a ridiculously overpriced burger on the menu just to make the second most expensive one seem like a steal. And now, you are out $25 because you got played by some fancy lettuce. Trap number 7 is the unity principle. Have you ever noticed how you instantly feel more connected to someone just because they have one thing in common with you? That is the unity principle. This sense of belonging gets used to trap you. Manipulators will go all out to make you feel like you are on the same team, whether it is shared values, backgrounds, or experiences. Imagine a salesperson telling you, "Hey, we are both parents. You will love this product for your kids." Boom, suddenly you are feeling all warm and fuzzy, and the next thing you know, you are swiping your credit card. The trap is that you are not making decisions based on logic or what you actually need. You are falling for a false sense of connection. This trick shows up in marketing, politics, and even personal relationships that make you think, well, we are alike, so they must be right. Meanwhile, you are just following the crowd without realizing you are headed straight into a trap. Next up, the bystander effect. This is when you don't act in a situation because you figure, someone else will handle it. In dark psychology, people use this to their advantage by creating scenarios where everyone just stands around, waiting for someone else to step up. You have probably seen this. Something shady goes down in a group, but no one says anything. Why? Because everyone is thinking, if nobody else is reacting, it must not be a big deal. The manipulator loves this. They get to keep pulling their tricks while everyone stands there like statues. The trap here is your own hesitation. Your inaction gives them free rein to control the situation, and you don't even realize it. You are basically handing them the keys to the kingdom while waiting for someone else to speak up. Spoiler, no one will. Next, the curse of knowledge. You know that moment when someone talks to you like you are supposed to know what quantum physics is, and you are just sitting there nodding, pretending you get it. That is the curse of knowledge. In dark psychology, people use this to make you feel dumb or out of your depth. They will throw around complex terms or talk about advanced stuff just to make you feel unqualified to challenge them. This happens a lot at work when someone is like, well, if you understood the nuanced intricacies of the strategy, you would get it. And suddenly you're like, yeah, sure, totally, while you have no idea what is going on. They make you dependent on their superior knowledge and leave you feeling like you need them to explain everything to you because clearly you are just a mere mortal in the presence of their genius. But all they are doing is just making you feel small to stay in control. At number 10, we have the survivorship bias. Survivorship bias is when you focus on the rare success stories and totally ignore the mountain of failures. This bias gets used to trap you by showing off only the wins. You know those get-rich-quick schemes that parade the one guy who made millions? Yeah, they are leaving out the part where 99% of people went broke. Manipulators know that by showing you only the survivors, they can make you think, well, if they did it, so can I. The reality is that you are only seeing the tip of the iceberg. The rest is a sea of people who crashed and burned. The trap is that you end up making risky decisions or jumping into bad relationships because you have been tricked into believing success is the norm. But in reality, it is not. Another trap is the end of history illusion. It is that funny little belief that the way you are now is how you are always going to be. Like, this is me, forever, no more changes. This is a sneaky way to trap you. People will convince you to make long-term decisions based on the current you, whether it is signing a contract, getting into a relationship, or making a financial commitment. They will say things like, you will always love this, or you will never change your mind about it, knowing full well that in a few years, you will hate that thing you are committing to. The trap is that you are making decisions for your future self without thinking about how much you will grow and change. So now you are stuck with whatever your past self thought was a good idea, and the manipulator gets to sit back and say, told you so. And lastly, ambiguity effect. This is when you avoid options with unknown outcomes because, let's be real, nobody likes uncertainty. Manipulators use this by giving you a clear, safe, but meh option, while making the potentially better choice seem risky or confusing. Suppose you are making a business deal, and they offer you a straightforward but kind of lame option, while the better deal is all shrouded in mystery. So, naturally, you go with the safe bet because, well, who wants to gamble on the unknown? By avoiding the ambiguous option, you miss out on something better, and the manipulator gets exactly what they want. They make the unknown seem too scary to explore, when in reality, the real risk is sticking with their boring, predictable choice. And there you have it, 12 different dark psychological traps, all explained in under 10 minutes. If you found these video or the psychological traps helpful, don't forget to leave a like. If you're interested in more videos like this one, hit the subscribe and notification bell to always be the first to know when a new video is up. And as always, I'll catch you in the next one.